Grab me another brew. Yo, what's the deal, y'all? How y'all feel? Welcome to the Shits Podcast. We are either shooting the shit, starting some shit,
or picking up where the shit left off, man.
Yeah. Hey, yo, I'm your host, Monsoon, Staraw, the coolest cat you heard thus far.
Yes, sir, and I am Bubba Ball, one of them dreads you cannot catch at the mall unless it's an outlet mall with deals live.
Yo, very special guest to the podcast. Like I always tell y'all, everybody that come on the podcast is a very special guest. So there's no difference today. Very special guest to the podcast. Yo, best-selling author. I'm gonna give y'all some of the titles of what she has done. Yes.
Run it down. It's a lot.
Yeah, Ghost Stories from the Ghost Point of View, Volume 1 and 2. The Crossing Over Prayer Book, Soul Evolution, Past Lives and Karmic Ties, and The Lightworker's Guide to Healing Grief. Yo, when I heard about this guest, I was like, I'm interested because there's so many things that I want to ask her. You know what I'm saying? And some of the stuff might be a little bit scary, but I feel like I think she's the ideal person to kind of help us navigate through that and give us the
understanding. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And give us the answers that we need. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, you all put your hands together. If you're driving, don't let go of the wheel. Don't let go of the wheel.
3 hoes.
Exactly. And y'all make some noise for Tina Erwin. Yeah.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
We're doing great.
Tina, how you doing?
How are you?
Awesome. Doing just awesome.
That's cool. So thank you very much for taking time out your day and just shooting the shit with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, I'm really thrilled. I'm super grateful for the opportunity, and I think you guys are a riot. This is awesome.
Thank you very much.
We get that a lot.
So let me ask. Well, we like to do a check-in with our guests. So, how was your week?
It's very good week.
Okay. So, my first question is this: Where you originally from?
Originally North Carolina. I was from Greensboro.
Okay, from the South.
I'm a Southern girl.
Okay, I can tell by the accent. I can tell.
I hear that.
So, yeah. I was checking out the book, the titles and stuff like that. So very, very interesting topics. So my next question to you is this: How did you develop the passion to start writing about such interesting topics like that?
I started out as a little kid, a little bit psychic.
Okay.
And I want to explain to your listeners that every one of us is psychic. And you can't drive a car and not be a little bit psychic, because you just know that you know who is in the lane ahead of you is going to shift lanes right in front of you. You just know that person is not paying attention as they're driving. Yep. You know it. That's psychic ability, and it keeps you safe. It keeps you in a good place. And the more you develop it and learn to listen to it, it can save your life. And as a little kid, I didn't know that everybody couldn't see the things I was seeing. That's true for most children. Really? And so I started to learn about it. I wanted to understand it. So I started studying when I was 8 or 9. I wanted
Get out of here.
I wanted to understand why all my siblings, I had 3 other siblings, were so different. How could we have the same parents and every one of us is radically different personality? How does that work? I mean, I'm sure other people have asked that question. Yeah. You know, why is my sister this nutty? Or why is my brother I take this person to my soul? Why? And why do I just hate this parent, or I love that parent, or this aunt, or this uncle, or this grandparent? What is all that about? And it caused me to understand, oh my gosh, I've had a past life with them. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And this person may have an astrological sign that is so radically different from mine, or there's something so familiar, or when I walk in a room and I see this person, I want to do something very bad to them.
I have people like that.
So I wanted to understand, because my tagline is teaching the living to help the dead and explaining the physics of metaphysics.
Okay.
So I wanted, and I'm not a scientist. I'm just an ordinary person like you guys, asking obvious questions and not being satisfied with the standard answers.
Right.
And so I started to study a lot of the old texts, some ancient texts, study until my eyeballs practically fell out so I could understand it. And by the way, I spent 20 years in the Navy. And when you start talking to these captains of ships, these guys are really, really psychic.
Yeah.
You can't deliberately submerge your submarine. You can't deliberately sink your ship and not be really, really psychic and feel the ship and feel your crew.
Wow.
Let me ask you a question about the Navy. And I'm sure you've been on the ship, right? You sailed?
When I joined the Navy in the ancient days of 1972, how long ago I joined the Navy?
You said the ancient days.
Ancient days, before cell phones. So there's before and after cell phones.
Okay.
Women could not serve aboard ship. And so when I joined the Navy, I could only serve at shore stations, and I could be aboard a ship for a limited period of time, but not overnight. That was congressional law.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's the law. So it was, that law didn't change until the mid 80s. And then it didn't change for submarines until about 7 years ago.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the main question I asked you that was, do you have any interesting stories that you like to share with either you or captains, or from captains, of course, about the Bermuda Triangle? That is one of the most interesting bodies of water and areas that, has always been like very mystified. Do you have any like stories about that?
I could make it up because I'm a really good writer.
It'd be a good one, because every time I see something about the Bermuda Triangle, and how the airplanes lose, the dials go everywhere. It's like it's a real mystic place.
Well, let me give you a little bit of history that might help you with that.
Okay.
Because we know that the Navy lost a whole squadron of planes in the 40s, in the late 40s, after World War II was over. We have not lost any destroyers or aircraft carriers or submarines in the Bermuda Triangle. To the best of my knowledge, we have not. I want to make sure you understand that there's more than one of those triangles. There's another one off the coast of Japan.
Oh, okay.
So there's more than one. And Edgar Cayce was one of the greatest psychics who ever lived. And he was the real deal.
Okay.
He was a sweet and kind man, and he helped everyone. And he talked about what he saw was Atlantis off the coast of Bermuda. But people forget that Atlantis was global. And because there were so many outposts of Atlantis, they had devices that could open and close doorways. And I suspect that a lot of what you're seeing with the Bermuda Triangle and the triangle off of Japan, especially a place called Unigoni, I think that's the name of it, has a pyramid that's twice the size of the one in Egypt.
Okay.
So
it's astounding.
You made a comment earlier about astrological signs. What is your thoughts? What is your thoughts about astrological signs?
After studying it for a really long time, if you look at it, and the best author I ever found was Linda Goodman's Sun Signs. If somebody wants to read a book that is balanced, fair, and very insightful, I would certainly recommend her book, Linda Goodman's Sun Signs. She was an Aries. When you start studying these astrological signs, you can apply some of those traits to different family members. For instance, one of my brothers was super sensitive and had an affinity for certain things. He was very, very much a Pisces. But my other brother was the Gemini, and he had a mercurial mind. Sometimes my sister made me nuts because as a Libra, and she couldn't make a decision to save her life. And so you begin to pick out traits about a person. So every time I got a new boss, I would find out his birthday, because they were all men, and study those signs, those sites, so I could understand, how do I work with this man? For instance, if he was born in the late June, July, he's a Cancerian. That's the crab. Crabs never approach anything directly. They always come at things sideways. So if you're a direct person, that you're going to have a huge clash with your boss. So if you recognize that your boss can only come at things from the side, it tells you how to manage your strategies and how to work with him. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's kind of like the way, like as you were explaining it, it's kind of like not necessarily manipulative, but you're learning. Everyone has a different language. You see what I'm saying? Like
exactly.
Everyone has a different language. No, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting to me that you brought up astrological signs. So I was like, oh, I just really want to ask a question about that. My next question is, because this is very interesting because this is my first time learning about it. And I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Auric fields.
Auric, A-U-R-I-C, auric field.
Auric fields. Can you give us a better explanation of that?
That is a great question. And the easiest explanation is your auric field is your immune system.
Okay.
I am a Star Trek fan. I've watched all the different Star Trek. I mean, I'm a super Trekkie. I studied and everything that's happening today, by the way, was in one of the original Star Treks.
Really? You're talking about the Captain with William Shatner?
No. In the Shatner Star Trek series, everything that you're seeing happen today, theme and variation, was in the original series.
Okay.
It was super cool to study it. Anyway, back to auric field. This is a really good question. Everything has an energy field. Everything. There was a wonderful Russian guy who created something called Carillion photography. And with Carillion photography, you can see the energy field that surrounds a plant. You can see the energy field that surrounds a human being. And human beings are an electrical energy field. Well, we know that electricity, you can't see electricity, but you depend on it. So you know it's real. Right. So the energetic field that surrounds you is an electromagnetic field. And that electromagnetic field is really, really important. When it's strong, you are shields up, and your shields are at 100%. Okay, simple Star Trek reference. I really love Star Trek. And so when you have things in your life that hurt you, you end up punching holes in that force field.
Okay.
And what can do that? Sexual abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, spiritual abuse. You're in an accident. You're raped. You are attacked. You are assaulted. Everyone puts a hole in that auric field, and you have to heal it. And when you heal your emotional wounds, you can begin to heal the physical, and then you'll heal your auric field. A strong auric field is a super strong immune system. And so what happens in the emotional body is eventually translated into the physical. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, actually you are. So that's why, but my next question to that would be, how can you strengthen that auric field?
That's a great question. And the answer is actually in a book called Karma and Frequency, which is another one of the books I wrote. It's also part of it's in Soul Evolution. And everything is resonance. If there's certain music you really love, then you are in resonance with that music.
I like trap music. I'm sorry.
Okay. So if you're a person who's only going to love Mozart, you know, you're probably not going to like Ava Max or any of the modern people or Leah Michelle or any of the, you know, more, you know, some of the younger, more modern music.
Right.
But you can also like both. Okay. So when you listen to music that feeds your soul, you help raise your frequency.
Okay.
Cleanliness is next to godliness because it removes negativity.
Right.
Darkness has a black soot.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry. So kind of like when you say cleanliness is next to godliness, that's kind of like being organized, having a clean workspace, having a clean area, stuff like that. Is that what you is that kind of like what you're referring to?
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm referring to.
Okay.
That way you can think clearly, you can manage clearly. You haven't cluttered your mind.
Right, right.
And when you read, this is a basic, I'm a feng shui consultant too, which is the balance of nature and balance in your body.
Okay.
So when you are balanced in your body, when you're balanced in your environment and your relationships, then everything is clean, things are repaired, and it raises your resonance. If you do something creative, I was on a phone with a client this morning and they said, you know, I'm feeling so much better emotionally. I want to go back to photography. I want to film the sunset. And when you create, whether you're a writer or you're doing podcasts and you're bringing knowledge and you're creating a brand for yourself, you're creating. Creating puts you in resonance with the higher realms, with God.
That is
and it's awesome. A really powerful energy to think about. Things that will reduce your frequency are violence, are really bad junk food, focusing on negative things, people who are constantly critical. But when you have people who praise you or lift you up, it raises that frequency. And everything in God's universe is math. Everything is a mathematical frequency and an equation. I'm not the airy-fairy person. I want to understand the science behind it so you can back it up and prove it.
Right.
So I want to stop for a minute. How is this working?
Yeah. So so you said everything is math, and I've heard that before.
Right.
Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Exactly. Everything in God's universe is math, and the example is it's coming into spring in the Pacific Northwest. So we've got all these little fiddleheads of the ferns.
Right.
That's the Fibonacci spiral, and so as they unfold, that Fibonacci spiral is a fractal, and you see fractals throughout space. You see fractals in every mathematical and every beautiful design. Every design that is perfect is a math. For instance, if you look at the handsomest man and the most beautiful woman, the math in their faces is a specific mathematical formula where all of the features are in balance. Mathematical formula, and it looks beautiful. So if you go into a serenity garden or you look at a piece of clothing, every single element of that clothing or that garden is math. The distance between one item and another, the distance, how it's arranged, what the color is, the color temperature. For instance, if you want to keep ghosts out of your house, put a green light bulb at your front door or in your child's bedroom, and ghosts can't enter because the frequency of the green light is so high, it's a barrier to ghosts. That's how amazing math is.
That is awesome. That is like super awesome because, like I said, I've heard it before that everything is math because it's like I said, it's balances and stuff like that. And then, like, I know for me, I always tell people one of the things that really helped me kind of get myself back together and kind of my mind right, I do laundry. Like,
you like laundry?
I'm serious. Like, I love doing laundry. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will wash
I don't mind laundry either, though. I don't mind every 2 weeks I do, like 2 loads.
I will wash every piece of clothing in the house and fold it. And as I'm doing that, like it's something about it that kind of helps me get like more in tune and stuff like that. So I get what you, because like I fold things and I might have a slight case of OCD.
Slight.
But I fold things like that. But once I'm done doing all that, like my mind is in a totally different place. I feel like I'm on a higher plane. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yes, it's your Zen moment.
Okay. Okay.
It's a Zen thing. And it when you're doing something, there's actually a reason for that. When you're doing something with your hands, you have occupied your conscious mind, which gives your subconscious mind an opportunity to go explore other things and think about. And yes, you're busy, you're doing something productive. At the same time, you're exploring all these other things in your mind.
Right.
And it gives you a freedom to kind of let go, but you're still being productive. Right. That's a Zen moment. It works really well. Because I got to tell you, I'm not the person, I know everyone says we should sit and meditate, but dude, I'm busy. To sit cross-legged in an uncomfortable position for hours and expect to have God talk to you just never worked for me.
Right. I'm
sorry.
It's interesting that you say that. It's interesting that you say that because I always thought that meditation was kind of easy. Because I just kind of felt like you just sit there and do nothing and you just wait for something to hit you, right? But then people say like it's more complex than that. Like there's a certain degree of focus you need to have in order to successfully meditate. So
I would submit to you that when you are folding laundry, that's your meditation.
I feel like it. I definitely feel like it.
And like, I think that we should take the label off of meditation and sitting cross-legged in your perfect fingers. This is really uncomfortable. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I think that if it works for some people, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't feel guilty if it doesn't work for you. And if your Zen moment, for me, it's driving in the car and singing out loud.
What are you saying? What are you saying? Because wait, let me guess. I'm thinking Young Thug, a little bit of Tupac. I don't know. No.
Well, you have to remember, I've got 60 years of songs at least to sing, and I sing a lot of songs.
Okay. Well, okay, what are you saying?
I sing everything from some of the fun things from Ava Max to Leah Michelle to Katherine Jenkins to the songs from the Disney movies. Things just all the way back to John Denver and The Sound of Music. It's just huge selection.
All right, favorite shower song. What's your favorite shower song? I got a favorite shower song that I can go to. You know, it's got to be the right climate, temperature. It doesn't have to be in my shower. I like singing it with like I'm in a hotel, I'm out of town. You know, I can really build out a good shower song. What's your favorite shower song?
I don't sing in the shower.
You don't?
In the car.
That's a first.
No, I don't. I sing in the car because
you're in and out. You're in and out of the shower. The shower is business.
I had stuff to do, so yeah, I'm in and out.
You spoke earlier about the whole being busy with your hands, and then I seen a YouTube clip where you talked about palm chakras.
Yes.
Can you kind of explain that more? Because I thought that was very interesting.
I'll hold up my hand. Here we go in the camera. This very center point, and you can feel it, is a palm chakra or an energy center. And every single person has them. And years ago, when people understood the nature of the electricity in the body differently than today, if you extended your hand, I'm shaking your hand, you're shaking, so it's chakra to chakra. So when you shake somebody's hand, you have seconds to evaluate them. And what you're learning about that person is you're feeling their energy field. That's not airy fairy. That is just science fact. And when you do that, remember, hands have a lot of power. A lot of times people are told to pray like this, but it seals off the energy in your palms. And in the early Christian paintings of Christ, he's standing there with his arms outstretched, sending the energy of love out. Not a single depiction by the early Christians show Christ doing this.
Wow.
Now, you know this is true because what did Hitler do? Hitler had everyone send from their right hand, they're sending that energy because energy comes in the body to the left hand, the left side, and it exits the right side.
Right.
So if you have a problem on your right side, you're too much energy leaving and you're out of balance. So when you understand the chakras just in your hands, you can begin to see how dynamic that issue can be. Did that answer your question?
Yes. And it also made me think about when COVID hit, there was no more, but if you was abiding by CDC law, there was no more handshakes.
No more hugs either.
Exactly. Exactly. And it really made me think about the whole shift in the world, not just with the pandemic, but it's like that sense of touch. You get what I'm saying? So like we were losing that. So it went from the handshakes to the fist bump or the elbow. So it's kind of like you're really not
Zoom to actually look at everybody. And now this is the new norm, you know.
So to me, it is kind of it made me think about how much energy we lost, or the transference of energy that we lost. That's what I thought about. Maybe I'm off on that.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're both right, 100%. Because we as human beings need human touch. And especially we need to be hugged. And when you meet someone and you're standing tall and they're standing tall and you shake each other's hands, you know if somebody gives you the 3 fingers, that's not a good thing. You know if they have a gigantic, and I have a tiny, tiny hand. And when I was in the Navy, you know, I'm 5'1", and tiny, tiny hand. I would meet these giant guys, and I would just put my hand out there to shake it, and it's like they were shaking hands with a 5-year-old.
Right.
I mean, the jokes about me in the Navy were hysterical, but anyway, I was the duty midget.
You also talked about a karmic path. I thought that was interesting. Can you kind of explain that too?
It's physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Yes. That is a definition of karma.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when for every action you take, it's like dropping a pebble in a pool. That circle that goes out is the reaction. So what we have in the world today is people are just raining pebbles into the pool, and we've got all this ricochet going on, right?
Yeah.
Your karmic path is all the things that you are doing that create that path, all the goodness that comes back to you, the rewards that you receive are coming to you based on the things that you have done. Or maybe in this life, you're atoning for something from another life.
Okay.
Maybe this life, let me give you an example. And I was explaining this to a client this morning. I years and years ago, I had a client who came because her husband never stopped playing video games and she wanted more attention. So she divorced him. He didn't miss her. He was playing video games. And then, so he's divorced and we're still working together. And we did several past life regressions. And in every life, as soon as this particular soul died, you know, within days or hours, she killed herself. She took her own life. So part of her karmic path was to live a whole life after he died. And in one life, he was her father. In one life, he was her child. One life, he was her husband. And every time he died, I mean, she was out of there. She couldn't live without him.
How can you, so you spoke about past lives. How can you?
Let me finish the story real quick. So, So she's on an airplane. She meets a Marine pilot, and she falls madly in love, and they're engaged, and she's super happy. And so he is in a plane crash, and he dies. And I thought, and she said, "This is the guy," and I said, "Yeah, it's the guy." And so we worked through her grief, and this time she didn't die. And a year later, I got an invitation to a wedding. She was marrying another pilot.
God damn.
And I said, "You know, I don't know any of your friends." She said, "Yes, but you're the only person on earth who will know that I changed my karmic path from death to life."
Okay.
So that story is important because people say that if someone takes their own life, they're punished and they go to hell. And no, they're given another opportunity to try again. It's a compassionate view of suicide, not a judgmental one.
Right. So do you think that it's hard for our society to really believe that and to look at suicide in a different way?
That's something I think you guys ask such good questions. We believe suicide is something to be ashamed of. You know, your family member committed suicide, so you should be ashamed.
Right.
What if you looked at it differently? Maybe this person's despair was so tremendous. You can't wrap your brain around that level of depression, that level of fear and pain and torture.
Yeah. Right.
If you stop judging the person and you go, you know, I don't know what it's like to feel such sadness
Yeah.
and this desire to escape. And that's why in the Crossing Over prayer book, there are specific prayers to cross over someone who took their own life.
Right.
And when you cross them over, they finally get this blessing of understanding and insight. They get to feel love again. And because when they die and they don't cross over, they lead a tortured existence. I don't mean to be, yes, I am blunt. I do mean to be blunt. They absolutely have to be crossed over, because when they're not, it's not any better on the other side after death.
Right.
I've spoken to thousands and thousands of people who took their own life, and they're always sorry.
Wow.
So, and the families think they could have helped them. If only I had done. I should have. I could have.
Right.
Not going to make a difference.
Right.
And if you cross them over, then you can make a difference.
Let me ask you this. To piggyback off of what you just said, I had a friend, really close friend, that took his own life, and it took a while. I say I came to the conclusion earlier than the rest of our friends did of why he did it. You understand what I'm saying? Most people don't leave notes, so that's where the self-blame, the self-guilt comes in. Maybe if I would have called him more, maybe if I would have went by more, maybe if I would have checked on, it wasn't nothing you could have did because it wasn't about you. See, you try to make somebody else's.
Exactly.
So I sat back and I thought about it. I said, well, this guy was getting blamed for somebody else's, death. Now, the person that also died was like a little brother to him, so he couldn't take that pressure. And I had to really sit back and think about it. I was mad at him because he wasn't here anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I was jealous because I didn't have that friend that made me laugh. People always laughing at me. I got to laugh at him, so now I feel cheated.
I know.
That's what we do in this life. And I really think we're selfish when it comes to love. When we love somebody, no matter how we love them, we're selfish when it comes to life, because we all have to go, right? And it's just something about the way that we've been trained and brought up, been taught that suicide is wrong. But I don't agree that it's 100% wrong. You know what I mean? I'm with you when it comes to that, because I know that this place that we live on is not, all picnics and barbecues and bar mitzvahs and shit like that. No, this could be a cruel place. Now, we got some good days coming. We got some bad days coming. We got rainy days coming and we got sunny days coming. But you know, you have to be able to endure a certain amount of BS, you know what I mean, if you will, in life. And some people just can't hack it. The smallest things, some people just can't hack it. You know, if life throws you the wrong curveball at the wrong time, poof, show me a cliff, they're gone. You know, so I tell all my friends, and especially my children, life, I can't give you the play-by-play book on life, because your life is going to take you in a different turn than my life took me. I just want to give you all of the tools that you need to make the best decisions before you make them.
So well, we talked about tools. You talked about tools. So I know, so Tina, you said something earlier about helping that person cross over. So that's like, I guess, so to me, it seems like that would be kind of hard, because you don't know what it is that you need to do to help that person that has passed away to cross over, because you kind of feel like, I can't talk to him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what it is that I can do. So can you kind of walk us through it, of some certain things that people can do to kind of help that person cross over who has passed away?
That is one of my biggest missions till I die, is teaching people how to help the dead. And it took me years to figure it out. I would love to tell you that I just woke up and I knew how to do it, but it took me a long time of study to figure it out. When we moved to, we were living in Italy with the Navy, and we moved to Charleston, South Carolina, and everything in Charleston is haunted. And
are you serious?
Oh my God, everything's haunted. Our house was 18 months old, and it was so haunted, you just can't wrap your brain around how bad it was. The entire neighborhood was haunted. My neighbors' houses were haunted. One guy was over a stable. He heard horses all night long. I mean, it was really a strange place.
Wow.
So I couldn't get rid of the ghost that we had. And for 7 years, this ghost drove me nuts. And so I studied my little heart out. And it's a very long story how I learned to cross over the dead. But once I did, and I started seeing how glorious it is to cross over, and I looked at this vast population of people who never do that. Why are there so many criminals? Why is there just massive corruption? Because these people just come back life after life after life. Why are serial killers start out as serial killers at the age of 3 or 4? They can be identified because they come in that way.
Right.
Oh, wow.
They come in. It's not like somebody said, "Oh, I think I'll be a serial killer today." They're lacking something, long series of things. But when a person doesn't cross over, it's like pieces of their soul are shaved off every time till there's no humanity left.
Oh, wow.
When you think about some of the things that are happening today, there's no humanity in these individuals.
Yeah.
So if you know someone, and you don't even have to know them, I wrote the crossing over prayer in 2012, and we beta tested it all over we had people all over the world who were willing to try it in different places. One guy in Amsterdam would walk through graveyards from World War II. I don't care if they were Nazis. I don't care if they were allies or civilians. I don't care. If they're not walking the earth is better for it. And he would walk through these graveyards and he'd hear, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." And this book is called The Crossing Over Prayer Book.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote it because you shouldn't have to pay a medium to help your loved ones. You should be able to do it yourself.
Yeah.
It's called the priesthood of all believers. You should, in the privacy of your own home, think of your friend who took his own life, say the crossing over prayer for suicide, and say it over and over and over, and feel like you've done an enormous spiritual service. It's an awesome thing to do.
Wow.
And I can give you story after story after story of how you know it works. And one of the big things in this book is crossing over murderers.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a crossing over prayer for murderers. And the reason I'm saying that is this is really, really, really important. And I'm so grateful to you guys for giving me an opportunity to share this.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Being able.
I know people who, their family members were murdered. My former son-in-law grew up on the streets of Tijuana, and it's a really tough place to grow up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and he's such a good soul. He's not my son-in-law anymore, but I always have a place in my heart for him.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that I had a case of in Upper New York State. This woman wrote to me and she said, my daughter is 4 years old and my father was in prison for murder. And I think he was executed. He was a convicted murderer. And his ghost is haunting me. And he's telling me day and night to kill my daughter.
Whoa.
And I know I'm not crazy because my daughter says, please don't kill me, mommy. The bad man's telling you, but don't kill me, mommy.
Wow.
This stuff happens. And so she used the crossing over prayer for murderers. She said it over and over and over. And she felt what I would call a shift. And her 4-year-old looks up because she's psychic. A lot of little kids are psychic. And she says, mommy, the bad man is gone now. And she never heard that voice anymore. So she didn't have to go find a medium. And mediums don't know how to cross people over anyway.
Right.
You should have that power. Every individual should have that power to do it themselves.
Right.
And
what's the name of that book again? Tell us the name of that book again that we need, because
the crossing over prayer.
Kids come in rooms all the time talking about monsters and things of that nature. So this book can help parents that are dealing with kids that might have these problems, right?
Yes, yes. And if you think you have a haunted house, there's a ton of different prayers, but there's also a dark intelligence removal prayer. Let's say that you have something. One of the things people see a lot of is the man with the hat.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that? Did somebody
Black people was the police. But go ahead, though. I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's scary to us. Go ahead.
It's the red and blue lights for me. It's like, holy shit.
Ain't no green lights with that. It's just red and blue. Go ahead.
Yellow lights, I'm fine with.
Well, a lot of people see if a child says there's a man with a hat in my room, that's not a ghost. That's a dark intelligence. And you can't just cross that being over. There's a dark intelligence removal prayer. That's not a ghost. There's a difference. And I don't talk to spirit.
Okay.
I never use that term because spirits are alcohol. They're not.
Right.
A ghost is a ghost.
How does that go together when you see that on like a lot of liquor stores? Wine and spirits.
That's what I always wanted to know. Wine is not hard alcohol. Hard alcohol is considered a spirit.
Okay.
That's probably because it makes you see things that you don't necessarily.
That is true. That is true.
The reason alcohol can be so detrimental, it drops your frequency. It drops your auric field to its shields are destroyed.
Okay.
And an alcoholic ghost or a drug addicted ghost can walk right into your body.
Oh, you're vulnerable now. You got no immune system. Okay.
That's so it drops your frequency to zero, especially if you're really drunk. And that's why getting rid of an alcoholism is so hard. There's two famous psychiatrists, Bruce Goldberg and Raymond Moody, MDs, who identified that you can have 60 different ghosts in a body.
Woo!
Telling the man or woman to drink. And they can't get rid of them. They don't remember who they were when they did the things they did when they were drunk.
Wow. Well, I have no memory. That.
So we hear drug addicts say that a lot of times when they do crimes, somebody told me do it. I hear a lot of schizophrenic people say that. Court shows were really big 4 or 5 years ago. It was a show on Las Vegas PD, right? And you got to see all the people that would get locked up on a normal night in Vegas. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, not necessarily Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, not the weekend. Mondays and Tuesdays, it was just like a lot of, hungover people, wanderers, indecent exposure. But when it got close to that weekend, these people were coming in butt naked, like hollering. It was like a wave of possessed kind of people, and I didn't understand it. And they were saying how popular certain drugs were in Vegas. But towards that weekend, Wednesday night, it was slowly build up. Thursday night, Friday night was full blown. People were just coming in like possessed.
Okay, you said it. They are possessed. That is exactly what has happened. They are possessed. And so if a possessed person takes their life, did they really want to do it, or was it the being that was with them or the ghost that was with them?
Wow.
And that's why these prayers were written. These aren't your Sunday school prayers. They're hardcore.
Right.
And they talk about the addiction the person had. I had a woman from India write to me because her alcoholic husband terrified her when he was drunk. Mm-hmm. So there's a prayer for protection from a drug addicted or alcoholic person. Because you want to be protected from a person who can do you harm.
Yeah.
And there's a prayer for that. I mean, it can make a difference if you can feel empowered. Mm-hmm. And all thought is energy. Think about that. All thought is energy. So
I believe that.
The thought that you put into a prayer is you're sending this energy out. If you send it out through your hands, open-handed, you have more power that you're doing it with.
That is deep.
Yeah.
That is deep. I had seen I read something about the importance of pearls. Can you kind of elaborate on that? Like, as far as what it does to, as far as your spirit, your energy, and stuff like that?
You're the first person who's ever asked me that question.
Because you know why? Our vice president had a thing with the Chuck Taylors and pearls. I wear my Chucks and pearls, and everybody had that movement going when she was running for a short period of time.
I don't know about the vice president at all. I can't imagine what she's thinking a lot of the times, but be that as it may.
That's all I remember about it, is that the main thing that she did was had every sorority girl, especially, or any woman that was in a sorority, they started the pearls and wearing Chuck Taylors out of the blue. If I was thinking, I would have invested in some stocks in Chuck Taylors, because everybody went and bought Chuck Taylors out of the blue.
So what's the importance of pearls?
I think in their case, it's just a fashion statement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pearls dress things up. You can have a white, button-up shirt and a pair of jeans. And if you wear pearls, you have dressed it up overnight.
Right.
Okay.
From a metaphysical viewpoint, pearls have a luster, so they reflect back. And when you're wearing pearls, it can be freshwater pearls or cultured pearls, whatever, you are adding a layer of light, lustrous light, to your auric field.
Okay.
That's what I use pearls for. And yes, they're good for fashion, but for me, on a metaphysical level, they reflect light. And one of the theories, if I have a headache, I put on a pair of pearls. For some reason, the pearls inside your auric field will help get rid of a headache. Not for guys. And
any particular color?
I prefer, a soft white pearl.
So, and this might sound like a joke, but it's really not. That doesn't apply to gold, like jewelry, like gold jewelry, stuff like that.
No.
Okay.
Because that's an excellent question. Because
I would think so. Looking at all of the pharaohs and kings and people that were like draped and adorned in gold and buried with it.
Well, remember, gold conducts energy very efficiently.
Okay.
Even when you have it practically at the nano level.
Okay.
Gold holds energy. All metal holds energy. So if you bought a ring, you have an antique ring. The gold in that ring is going to hold on to the energy of the last person who wore it. So if the last person who wore it was murdered, died in an accident, or had a miserable marriage, whether it's a man or a woman's ring, you're going to take into your auric field what is that person's energy.
Drop the mic. Hold on. So you now what I just heard, you got to be careful what you inherit.
Yes, you do. Oh my God, yes, you do.
Wait a minute, I want to wear that ring.
Think about this, bro. Like people who steal chains.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Or people who steal jewelry and be a fool to wear it. You get what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Okay. This also applies to stones. I mean, I used to own a crystal mine in Arkansas, so I'm going for the Superman's cave effect, in my house with crystal. Let me show you one of them. I've got a big one here.
Whoa!
This isn't the biggest one. Right. I have a lot of them. Crystal holds energy. So if you get a piece of jewelry, you have to clear it. I mean, and it takes time to figure out how to clear your jewelry enough to wear it. I inherited a ring from my mother, and every time I put it on, I got sick. So it took me 6 months to clear that ring, so that when I put it on, I wasn't sick. My mother she wasn't a happy person.
Let me tell you. So people that go to pawn shops and stuff like that to buy jewelry.
Right.
Oh, whoa! You see how I'm thinking now? People go, I want a new ring or something. They go to a pawn shop because it's cheap.
You better get that shit made from scratch,
man.
or really, really work to clear it. And
how do you clear it?
I use pennyroyal, but pennyroyal can be really toxic, so you have to be careful. You can put it in salt water.
Okay.
You can bury it in just a bowl of salt.
Okay.
And rice that absorb. You can put it in a rushing stream. You can take it to the ocean and let the ocean salt water clear it, but you can't do that long enough. Right. And the most effective thing I've ever found is pennyroyal, but that's hard to find. Some people put it in moonlight. To me, that's worthless. You can put it in the sun. That helps, but give it a very, very, very long time because you don't know what the history of it was. And you have to you're clearing the metal and the stone. This is why cars. Can we talk cars for just a minute?
Yes.
Okay. My son was a Rolls-Royce mechanic.
Okay.
Oh.
And he did Rolls and Bentley and BMW, and now he's up here and he does all different kinds of cars, Volkswagens and Mustangs, and kid's a great mechanic. I have enormous respect for my oldest son with that. And we talk about, remember you were talking about cleanliness?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
A clean car means your car will run better. You see a car that's full of garbage inside and the trunk is a mess, you're going to have problems. If people keep their cars washed, it's going to run better. If you love your car, if you say to your car, I hate this car. I just hate this car. This car is such a lemon. The energy you're putting into the metal and the computer chips and the gold in your car will take on the energy of hate. And your car will not run well.
Right.
Your car will break down. But if you say, I love my car, oh my God, this is the best car I could have had.
I say that all the time.
Okay. And your car is going to pick up that energy of affection. I mean, I listened to the stories that my son told me about cars and the things he observed. And it's not just turn this screw and wrench. But if you really understand cars, you can feel whether or not the owner loves the car. And if they don't, it can be really bad.
Wow.
I heard a guy say once that his claim to fame was he would go to a Nissan. He loved Nissans. And he would go buy a Nissan Sentra. And every 3 years, he would go buy a new car. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you would actually pay off a car. He would go in and write a cashier's check out, cash money. His motto was he didn't buy new clothes. He had maybe 2 to 3 pairs of shoes, but he never got the car's oil changed.
In 3 years?
Every car he bought, he never changed the oil.
Oh my God.
So from the cars starting brand new, he said he was driving for 3 years and trade the car in. And I thought to myself, I said, wow. And then he said he got denied some deals because of the cars that he was driving and his attire. So he hired, a stylist. He got the suits, got his haircut. He presented himself well. And then came the struggle of buying an elaborate high-class car to match the level of business that he was doing. And he bought a Bentley or something like that. And he said that was the worst decision of his life. But you got to remember, this guy comes from never doing any repairs or maintenance besides flat tires, things of that. Oil changes was unheard of. Probably tune-ups too. He had a Bentley, and he said every 2 months the light would come on, it would reduce power. He said this was the weakest car of his life, of his existence. And he was from the Army, but he just had this attitude of that if I buy a new car, it's supposed to last 3 years without me doing anything to it. And he had a track record of 20 years of doing that before he had been, let's say, forced to upgrade. Mercedes-Benz, he said, was trash. He said the more money you spend for cars, the more they're going to have to get worked on. You know what I mean? And that was his mythology of it.
Yeah, that's right. They're much more complicated. They're so complicated. There's so many computer systems that there was one woman who, and when you have a Bentley or a Rolls, you have to remember that dealership is going to be on you to keep the car up to date.
Yeah.
Did your son ever say for fact that they're handmade? Are those two? Because they claim that they're handmade. Meaning,
they are
really handmade.
Yeah, they are astonishing. I mean, they're astonishing vehicles. The umbrella that comes with a Rolls is $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's expensive. But there's one woman who, it was like 40 or 50,000 miles, and she didn't change the oil in this Rolls.
Okay.
And the dealership begged her, please come in. We'll bring the car to your house. You won't even know the difference.
Right.
She would not do anything. Exactly what you were talking about. Finally, the Rolls seized on the freeway. California freeways, not what you want a car to seize.
Wrong place.
Wrong place. Especially, if you're doing 90, you're a rock in the river. So.
Right. You're gonna have company in a minute in your back seat,
Yeah. So she gets off the freeway and they calls the dealership all upset, and they looked at how many times they had asked her to come in.
Oh,
yeah.
And they would not, the warranty wouldn't cover the oil change, and the oil change was like $20,000.
Wow.
Because there was so much damage because she never changed the oil.
So, first of all, I gotta thank you again for just giving us your time, because I know kind of going over. So I only got like 2 questions left.
Okay.
So one of those questions is there a difference? And if so, what is the difference between a ghost and a spirit?
A spirit is, the word spirit is used to describe ghosts, angels, God, Jesus, the devil, all kinds of things. It's a worthless word.
Okay.
A ghost is a person who was in a mortal body and died, and either they don't know they're dead or they don't know what to do because they died. They're clueless. And that's what a ghost is. There's dark intelligences, black magicians from the 4th dimension, and those are the basic beings. So I don't use the word spirit because I want to be specific. It's a scientific thing for me.
Right.
That's what this is, and that's what it isn't. If you have a child, by the way, use a green light bulb in her room.
I will.
Or his room. And
I was writing it down when you said that. Yeah.
And put blocks of salt, like animal salt licks. They're in blocks. Put that under her bed.
Wow.
And those things will stop. You get a night's sleep.
Okay. My daughter will not sleep in her own room, and like that's causing a bad spirit for me and my wife. But that's a whole other story. That's a whole other story.
No, but that's you know how many households that's true for? I've worked with a lot of parents of psychic children. It's all about imagining it. So
when you said that the bad man is telling you, mommy, don't listen to the bad man, I was like, wow, that means that a lot of children tell their parents things, and their parents like, girl, ain't no monsters in your room, or you ain't see nobody. You know what I mean? But these children really are intelligent.
Yes, they really, really are.
And babies are laughing at things that's going on behind you. They're not looking at you.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
It's happened to virtually all of my grandchildren.
Wow. And my last question is this. If you had the opportunity to speak to any, I don't necessarily want to say ghost, but if you had the opportunity to speak to any past being, who would it be?
You mean a person who lived before?
Yes.
Very powerful, influential, while they were here, but they're gone now. And you wanted to ask them a question.
Probably Adam and Eve.
Oh. Drops the mic. I dropped the mic 2 times this episode.
That's nice.
That is history.
Okay, so let me ask you. Okay, one last question.
Right. This is question 2, part 8.
Right. What would be if you only can ask them one question? What would that one question be?
Can I ask you another question?
No. Adam and Eve were not naked afraid in a garden. They were high spiritual beings who came here with a spiritual mission to help the earth, because the earth was full of tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a great deal of deception and things that were going on. Adam and Eve had 120 children. This isn't the naked and afraid of that you've been told. That's a lie.
Okay.
These were real beings who came to Earth to help the planet progress. And when they did that, there was so much interference and darkness. There was great deception. But Adam and Eve did not defy God deliberately. There were other things. And the question I would ask them is, in hindsight, can you understand what happened to you? And is there advice for those of us living today?
Wow. Yeah, definitely. I think the apple in today's terms would be the fake reality, the false reality, the I call it the fast food reality. It's a drive-through, right? We want everything so instantaneous. We got to have it right now. We'll pay the extra money to get it expedited. It's still coming through UPS. Nobody's bringing it but FedEx.
And even FedEx doesn't bring it very often.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
This was a privilege, Tina. I really thank you, because you really let me see some things that I had been questioning, and I just needed the actual proof. I knew I wasn't crazy. I dropped the mic twice. You made history. That's it. This show is going down. We're putting some asterisks on it. And we got to get the book. One more time, the book. Show us the book again. And where can we get that? Let us know where can we get that. The Crossing Over Prayer Book.
The Crossing Over Prayer Book is on Amazon.
Okay.
It's in an audio and Kindle and print on demand. And I have the Ghost Helper app. So if you want to hear this, if you send me an MP3 of this podcast or an MP4, send me both of them, and I'm going to put those on my my app, so people, and on my website, so people can get to hear this again and again, because you guys asked some really, really, really good questions.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
And I got to put this is not a question.
Okay.
This is just a comment. This is just a comment, because I think this is really very interesting. So it's a gnat that's flying around in my basement right now, and I ain't never had a gnat in this basement until I had this conversation. So I don't know if this is Tupac flying around. Oh, Biggie, I don't know. It's somebody, but they obviously picked up on this conversation that we have. And Tina, honestly, we really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, because we see all the time, time is way more valuable than money, and we appreciate you giving us your time. Thank you very much.
So much. Sorry.
You have a great one.
You too. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Later.
Yeah, that was dope. That was dope. Answered a lot of. I knew kids were psychic.
Bro.
I knew kids were psychic.
Bro. Bro, hey man, listen to me. Do you know how many times my kids have told me, yeah, the guy over my friend right there in the room told me this. And you be like, come on, man, like, you know, I'm serious. Like, you seriously think about that. You be like, man, but hey man, it's a possibility. Yo, for anyone that checked it out,
I definitely think it's real. I definitely think it's real. Like she said, we all have those moments where we kind of like, you know, you could be driving your car and you could be like, just, I give you, for instance, 3, I won't give you all 3, but I've had 3 close calls with deers where I was driving on a normal back road in Calumet City. One time it was out in like right off 394 by like Joel Road or something. And I was driving on these little one lane each way roads. And some told me to slow down, bro. You know what I mean? I'm not flying. I'm doing like 45, 50. And some say, slow down, right?
Yeah.
I get off the gas and about 2 cars in front of me, 2 female deers hit the road, boop, go across. Boop, go across. Here come the male with the big antlers chasing them. It was deer season. It was mating season. Yeah. So that's when you have a lot of accidents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm talking about something told me just to slow down, like not keep doing whatever speed I was doing. I took my foot off the gas. Here come the deers. Boop, boop. And they were so big that when they hopped off the road, they hit the road and they was back off the road. So these were some big ass deer. Like if I would have hit them, they probably would have got off, shook it off, kept going. My car would have been totaled. Yeah, leaking antifreeze and shit everywhere. You know what I mean? But yeah, she made that really let me know, like, wow, I'm not crazy. These kids not crazy. Y'all listen to these babies if they come to y'all talking about the monsters in their room. They want to sleep in your room. You ain't getting none that night, but you better go put a green light bulb. You better go get a green light bulb tomorrow from Family Dollar, motherfucker. Straight up, because baby girl ain't sleeping in there. She gonna sit there.
Hey, for everybody checking it out, we appreciate it. We honestly appreciate you checking out the podcast. Hey, continue to support us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Hey, subscribe, drop a comment. For anybody who checked this out on YouTube, thank you very much, man, for checking it out. Follow us on Instagram, the Shits Podcast. You can follow my man Bubba Ball at Locks to Logs. You can follow me at Monsoon Staraw on Instagram. And we out here, man. And every Thursday, like we said, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., the Shits Radio. Y'all can check us out there too. Also, check out the website.
And get that music in.
Say it again.
Tell them to send that music in too.
Oh yeah, send that music in too. Check out the website www.theshitspodcast.com. And yeah, man. Hey man, I hope y'all learned something. We learned something. Also, man, look. One of the things that I also took away from today too, man, is just the way people look at suicide. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was real deep how she broke that down.
They helped me out, man. They helped me out because I really was feeling some kind of way, but I realized that I was the one feeling some kind of way. You know what I mean? I was the one being selfish. You know, it happens with us humans, man. You know, when anybody dies that we were close to, you know, we kind of feel cheated because that person is not there. That physical presence is not there. You know what I mean? So
yes, sir.
It's just a growing pain in life that we all must go through. We all got to go through.
So, hey man, y'all can catch us in the streets, man. Y'all be cool. Like we always say, make fans, not followers. Followers will get you clout. Fans will get you work. And we'll holler at y'all later, man. It's the shit.
Chicago running shit, man.